I'm a king.
What it do? It's your boy C Pizzle. Got my dog Will on the camera with me today. He wanted to join in. He wanted to have some great, interesting conversations about life, improvement, just making adjustments, right? Like, it's not where you started, it's where you headed. So how do we transition, right? How do we transition to that other level that we always wanted to get to? You know, we want to talk about growth. He wants to talk about a lot of things: sports, growth, basically finances, and he also wants to go over the street life conversion, right? So, I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for it all. But go ahead, man. Tell him a little something about you, Will. I mean, you probably seen him on one of my previous YouTube show that we did, and we kind of talked about his journey, but he can give you a quick briefing of him and what brought him out here to Phoenix today.
Man, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, I'm Will, Second Chance Will on Instagram, and what brought me out here is I'm one of the owners of the gym Chula Vista, and if you are in the San Diego Chula Vista area, you might want to stop by 323rd Avenue in Chula Vista, best gym in San Diego. But I came out here because we have another gym out here in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's the gym Phoenix. Check us out. It's an amazing gym, up and coming. You will not be disappointed. But yeah, this is a friend of mine, and you know, I love to talk to people, and he's, you know him, he always talking, you know, great conversation. And that's what I want to get into, just life in general. You know, our backgrounds, we don't have to get into that per se right now. We'll dive into it during the conversation, but I mean, you know him, you hear him, and I'm extremely proud of who you are. Let him tell it he hasn't achieved anything. But if you know his background, then you would be just as impressed. You would be just as proud as I am. So, you know, hats off to you. Hats off to you, man.
I want to say, we was talking about earlier in the kitchen. Will said that I'm a success. I say I'm not a success because, to me, I'm still a work in progress. He says I'm a success because of where I come from to where I'm at now. You know, he sees like nice luxury places, and you know, I've owned a house and did a bunch of things like that, and all that is cool. But I mean, where do we level success, right? Where do we measure success? To me, success is a numerous amount of things, right? Like financial security. You know, have you achieved the things that you plan on doing in life? If you died today, you know, was your life fulfilled? Did you hit those milestones, right? Did you have the experiences that you wanted to? Now, I feel like I'm on my way to success, but to be successful is, for me, like, you know, my entrepreneurial spirit, you know, having residual income, multiple properties, being able to live how I want to versus, you know, I punch a clock every day, right? So if I'm making someone else rich, I'm not getting rich. And it's not all about the money, but I'm not attaining the things that this other person is getting and the things that my heart desires. I'm not talking about, do I got a Lamborghini outside? But can I wake up every day and do the things that I like to do? If you go to work 5 days out of a 7-day week for, you know, from 18, 20 years old till you're 66, 70 years old, you spent your whole lifetime, you spent 3/4 of your lifetime making somebody else rich and not doing the things that your soul desires, right? And then by the time you retire, if you saved a good enough money, making some decent investments with 401k, own a property, and have some savings, right? Then are you still youthful enough and have enough energy to even do the things that you aspired to do when you were younger, now that you are done working and you're waking up and going to sleep when you like to? I would like to be retired at 45. If I can be retired at 45, 47, I would feel like I'm successful at that point, right? Because then I could wake up and live life by my own rules. Right now, I'm being ruled by somebody else because I have a job. And if I don't do the things that they require me to do, I don't have a job. Meaning I can't take care of my child, myself. I can't take care of where I live. I can't drive the car that I drive. So I don't consider myself successful based off of these things.
Okay. Now, I understand what he's saying, you know, and I don't disagree. And the reason why I don't disagree is because success is measured by our own perception.
Right.
And so my perception of success based on where you came from is you're a free man, you're a father who loves and takes care of his daughter, you go to work, it's everything that you went through in your childhood. You were a statistic. You potentially could have been a statistic spending your life in prison or spending eternity in a grave. That was the path that you were on. But now you're an example for other young men who grew up in that neighborhood and young men who just grow up in the United States and around the world, what's possible if you refuse to give up. And that's what you did. So, no, you may not be where you want to be, but you're far from where you were at. So that is a level of success.
And I'm with you on that. And it's like, okay, the grave didn't get me and the pen didn't get me forever, right? But being locked up, and I made my life so much harder. But for some of us, your parents can tell you that stove is hot and you don't got to get burned. You just going to believe it. For others of us, we had to touch that stove multiple times and realize that shit really burned. And once you realize it really burned, you stop touching it. And some people get numb to the pain and they keep going back. Like, you're jailbird, right? You're, the one that just keeps going back to prison. The homie that has good intentions, mean well, but he can't keep himself out of harm's way. I was just somebody who looked at my homies and what they was going through and was heartbroken behind it, because I can't save you. I can't do nothing for you other than be a friend and continue to be here for you and give to you what I can give to you. And at the end of the day, I can always give you my support, my love, right? But I had to share cells with people that were looking at forever. When you think about it when you're young and you get into the life, you like, going to jail, going to prison, and people dying around you, that's just a part of life, right? You become immune to it. But when you get older, as the older I become all the time, the more traumatized or the more anxious or the more, conscious I continue to become of this. And I think about it more and more like, damn, the things that we've experienced in life, it's not real. It's real because this life is only real to us. The rest of the world, this shit don't exist. Gangbang, all that shit don't even exist to the rest of the world. But to us, this is something. This is a way of life. And, I joke with my homies about B words and all kinds of stuff like that when they hit me up and they say little shit to be funny. And it is some of the shit is funny, but it's a reality. It's a reality of some of people's lives. For me, I'm not 100% walked away from the life of my friends, but I'm not participating in things that are not for me, that don't suit me and don't suit the lifestyle I've created for myself now. I took what I learned from the streets and from the hustle in jail and patience and a lot of things, and I've incorporated it into the corporate world, and I took the game, and instead of using the game and thinking, when you're from the hood, you're from the street, and the people around you, your ceiling is the people that's around you, right? Because you don't think that you can even achieve over what they do. Just maybe a little bit more. Like I could hustle a little harder than them. I could sell more dope. I could pimp better hoes. I could do all this, but you're not thinking money does grow on trees. Money is digital now. Nobody gets paid in a paycheck. So if you work a job, you do something for me, I'm gonna Apple Pay you. I'm gonna pay you, in numbers. So
digital currency.
Digital currency is where it's at today. The U.S. dollar. It used to be backed by all the gold and jewels and everything at Fort Knox. Then it was backed by crude oil. What is it backed by now? Nothing. But yet every country's still accepting it, and we're doing what we do, right? The U.S., right? All this stuff is fake. If you can find a way to hustle and make money, and you got to think like a millionaire is born every day in America. I'm not like pro-America because I don't believe in this system. I'm a fan of Malcolm X, and if we was American, we not second-rate citizens, why you treat us this way? Why we don't have the same opportunities? But this is a place that you can come and you can live at, and if you have a good idea, you got some hustle behind you, you can network well enough, you can become a millionaire, billionaire too. So my advice and what I try to show homies is you can come from here. And, if you survive through it and you don't get caught for all the heinous things that you're participating in, you can elevate to levels that you can't even imagine. I used to dream about going to a place like Brazil. When my daughter was a baby, I watched a movie called Rio. And in Rio, the bird was on the kite. He was scared to fly, so him and the other bird were shackled together, the macaws or whatever, and they ended up on someone's hang glider, and it was hang gliding by the Christ statue, Cristo Redentor. So I said to myself, one day I'm gonna go to Brazil and I'm gonna go hang gliding. And my 31st birthday, that's what I did. But I didn't know how I was gonna get there. I made maybe $18,000 that year, when I talked about that back in like 2014, 5 years later or so, I was doing it. So what I say is, you got to get around people that you can elevate around. I got a gang of homies that gang banged and that hustled and do all that, and I still love them and I still participate in conversations and hanging out with them. But I would say you got to branch off and also become friends with the kind of people that you want to learn from. I learned everything I need to learn from them. Now I need to learn some of this corporate stuff. I need to learn how rich people think, how they react, how they talk to each other, how they treat people, right? How they network. That way I can mimic it. I'm just a chameleon. When homies ask me a question, I'm really just a chameleon. I just watch what other people do, and then I incorporate it in myself and my skill set, and then I put it back out there.
So let me jump in because I am pro-America. This is me. I'm pro-America, and I'm not someone who denies that racism and slavery doesn't exist. It did, right? But right now, to this day, I look at myself and I look at a person who did spend all these years in prison. I look at a person who doesn't have any certifications. I look at a person who doesn't have a college degree. And I look at the level of success that I've achieved and the path that I'm on without any special treatment along the way. And if I can do it, if you can do it, and we didn't make excuses along the way, why can't other people do it? What is standing in their way? Whoa. Except for using excuses as to, oh, the system is this. I know the system exists, but the system, the way I see it, the system is a barrier to either go around or to go over, but not to stop in front of. And I feel like that's a problem with a lot of people. They continue to use the system as a crutch and not even taking responsibility for the actions and for the things that they cause in their own life, the problems that they're causing in their own life. And as soon as they're confronted with those issues, they're like, well, the system, past, this.
So there is poverty, right? And unfortunately, if you don't have any leadership, you'll fail, you'll crumble, right? That's why since slavery, right, the white man knew that we got to keep them separated. If they come together, they'll overthrow us. They're too strong, they're too powerful, they're too skilled. We're a skilled set of individuals. We can do anything. It doesn't matter. We possess skills. That's why we're the most superior athletes. We're some of the smartest. The youngest person just got into the medical school. That young girl's like 13, and she's already like going into medical school to be a doctor, right? At 13,
Amazing.
She's a young black girl.
Yeah.
But we've created some of the best things, and they stole our ideas, right? The thing about it is, if you keep us separated, when you had the Black Panther Party, what they do? That one guy convinced the Black Panther Party to sell themselves out and get involved in guns and drugs or whatever, and he did all that to the Black Panther Party for $500 and separated and abolished it because they were growing, they were becoming too strong, right? Look at what's his name from the Judas Priest movie, right? The young man in Chicago, they murdered him because he was too strong. He was doing too much. Malcolm X, he was bringing too much unity. They murdered him. They're going to keep us straight. That's why buck breaking exists, right?
But you're saying it as if it exists.
It's still to this day. No, so it's still to this day. I'm about to bring it all.
Go ahead,
all to fruition.
Bring it back.
So even buck breaking, when you have a leader, which could be a father, which could be an uncle, which could be a leader, is generally a man, right? Because men, especially from a biblical point, men lead. This is the reason why we're strong. We're mighty. We think the way we think. We don't think with emotion. We think with logic. We're leaders. If you take the leaders out of the community, and men need leadership, knowledge is passed down from father to son, from man to child, right? And that's where you get your leadership. If you have none, then you'll run around like a chicken with his head cut off, right? So when you take all the leaders out of the situation, when they were buck breaking, they would take the strongest buck, cut his hands off, or gouge an eye, or chop a foot, something where he can't be strong, or they would put him in the buck breaking farms and they would rape him in front of their own families and children.
We're talking about hundreds of years ago.
So hundreds of years ago to this day, but that trauma gets passed down through your spirit, through everything. We are a traumatized people. Now to this day, why are we still messed up in a situation? They put the guns in the hood. They put the alcoholism in the hood. They put the drugs in the hood, right?
But they don't put the guns in the hands. They don't put the alcohol to the lips.
They don't.
And the drugs in the mouth. They don't do that.
They don't. But the problem is when everybody around you is robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you have so much bad leadership around you because you're only doing what you know. I don't know that I can go and work a corporate job. I don't know, I work for a property management company, right? I don't know that I can go get a property management job and get 20% off my rent, make my life easier, and that the career path of property management, I don't need a degree and all these things. I could work in property management, become property manager, making 80 to 100,000 a year, and go on and on and on. I don't have anyone to tell me about career paths and things I can do, or why I should have went to school and been a lawyer. Why I should go to HVAC school and I can eventually start my own company. This is the kind of money I can make and have businesses. And
That's false. That's false, because the knowledge is out there. What you just did is what I said that our community continues to do.
Wait. But growing up in a gang-infested neighborhood, especially in California, so you go to Freeze, it's connected to Skyline Park. I mean, you have Rashawn Salam. First time I ever met him, only time I ever met him was over at the park in all that area, buying little kids ice cream. He's from the turf, basically, right? He's over there hanging out in the Skyline. All the people, like, if you don't have father figures, you don't have leadership, you're looking at all the pimps, drug dealers with the nice cars, with the jewelry, having the money, having the women, right? What you are, what you eat, right? You are what you hang out with. If you grow up in these communities and this is what you see, this is what you think about being. If these kids that grow up with their dad as lawyers, judges, doctors, and business owners, and they have a career path, their parents are setting a path for them, and they see their uncles, aunts, and everybody being successful, having nice homes and college educations, it's not even a second thought in their mind that they're going to have these things. They're going to college and what they're going to do. When you're growing up in the hood, this is what you think that you have to offer. This is where you think that you're going, because you don't have things. You are too blinded by not having some new shoes for school, not having some decent clothes to wear, to where you think you got to go steal and do all kinds of stuff. So then when you're blinded by these things as a kid, you start getting in trouble, you get caught stealing, you get caught doing something you shouldn't do, right? And then what happens? You've already created a criminal record for yourself at a young age. You've already started on this path. You've got a bunch of bad influences.
So do we have to continue on this path?
No, but you need something and somebody to have a breakthrough. What happened to me is I had my own breakthrough, luckily, right? Where it was like, I'm looking at my homies and like, I'm in jail. I can't get no soda and no ice cream and no cheese. That right there was, I was tired of that. Going to jail. I was going to jail every multiple times every year, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, whatever, right? I'm like, man, this shit getting boring. But then my homies got life. Who gonna look out for them? When I'm in there, you know, who looking out for me? Luckily, I had a little bit of chips. Luckily, I got some decent, you know, mom nice enough to send me something, you know, a couple bras, write some letters, but who gonna look out for me? But my role is make sure, I feel compelled to look out for my homies. That sacrifice for me as well.
I got to jump in again, because what we just did right now was continue to make excuses. You talked about, and correct me where I'm wrong, but you talked about all of the trauma that black people face since slavery, which was ended in 1860.
But still experience.
Don't quote me. I can Google it, but I'm just saying around 1865, 1860, around 1860s, slavery was over, right? There was an economic boom in the black communities, and we understand that Jim Crow laws kicked in. All those things happened after, there was freedom. There were black people elected to the Senate, elected to the Congress, Black Wall Streets, all across the United States, right? So we understand. I will give you the fact that there was, people who put drugs into the communities. I will give you the fact that there may have been guns in the community. But what you just told me is that you know that this is the problem. So now that we know that there's a problem, we know that we are the solution. So I make excuses for kids because they don't know. But I don't continue to make excuses for people who had these conversations and continue to do that.
So my answer to that is this. We 37 now. We know better now. But when we were young, we didn't know better because we were what we seen.
But we talking about now, though.
Right. So now I don't have that problem. But what about, I'm talking about the young people that are continuously going through the same thing because they don't have the understanding, they don't have the knowledge, and they already messed up and they're already on a path where they hurt, their daddies ain't there, their homie already done died, their cousin, their brother got killed, whatever situation, they're already tied into this, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you got a bunch of stuff stacked up in front of you.
You
might
the
get
light.
To see a glimpse of light. Okay, we are the light, and we're gonna do our part, but it's bigger than us. This is where things really start, and this is the problem, because they over police us, they over jail us For the same crimes.
Are we not committing the crimes?
But this is the thing. Statistically, for somebody from another race that creates this, does the same crime, they get half or a third of the time. It's no way that black people can make up 10, 11% of the whole population of America. And we are 60, 70% of the prison. We're 70, 80% of the prison. There's no way possible that we can commit the same crimes, and they're far more. If it's 500 million people in America and we're 11%, that means we're 50-something million people in this country, right? It's like, I don't think like 450, but we're like 10 million people in this country, right? We're only in predominantly bigger cities too, at that.
Okay.
So if we are able to make up only this much of the community, but we are the ones that are overpopulating the prisons, we are being targeted. So we cannot overlook none of that. But also, wait, let's go this. We from San Diego. San Diego's a wealthy city. Morris just got lights a year or two ago for their high school football field. They didn't have lights when my cousin was going to CIF in the 90s, right? Why is it that our schools don't have what these other schools have, right? We are all San Diego County, right? You know why it is? Because they have it structured for us to fail. You know how schools get funding? Schools get funded off of the taxes in your neighborhood. So if you live in a lower income neighborhood, you get small funding. The people in the richer neighborhoods in San Diego, the PTSA and all that shit, they donate into their schools. Their houses are worth multi-millions and all that stuff way up there, and they're paying way more money in taxes. They got more than enough funding. You would think equal opportunity, right? We're all San Diego. This is all Maricopa County.
What do we do about it?
What do we do about it? We can't do nothing about it.
There's the problem.
You know why we can't do nothing about it? Because the government has it structured. No, but the government has it structured that way.
No. We can't do nothing about it because we keep talking about we can't do nothing about it. So if you already have a defeatist mindset, then you'll never win. What you're saying is we're always going to be in the position that we're in. So there's no reason why kids shouldn't gangbang. There's no reason why people can't get out of.
That's a far stretch.
You said we can't do anything about it.
I didn't say that's the reason why they should. That's not a should. I'm saying this is how they get caught up in it. When you don't have the after-school programs, you don't have the field trips. There are after-school programs because I grew up in Skyline and I went to after-school programs. But free lunch is gone. Been gone. Long time. But what I'm saying is, free lunch
is gone, but we had the YMCA, we had the Boys and Girls Club.
But we still don't, listen, we are underfunded. These schools don't have balls. We don't have jerseys.
They had all of that.
That's why we have to do fundraisers. Wait.
I went to 7 schools. I got kicked out of Keeler. I got kicked out of O'Farrell. I got kicked out of Alba. I got kicked out of UC. I got kicked out of Garfield.
Every school doesn't. But listen what I'm saying. Every school and everyone doesn't have that. And their programs are still more minimal. They have, what I'm saying is these kids got, on the other side of the train tracks, got all the opportunity.
Who cares if they have all the? Because that's the place we stay in. It's all excuses.
It's not
an impediment. They are not an impediment to our success.
So this is what I'm explaining to you, right? You got to open your eyes to this.
My eyes are open, but I'm also not still drinking the Kool-Aid.
Listen, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm someone that can easily, and I hate it when people do this. I'm someone that can easily say, well, I made it out, you make it out. They tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstrap, but we don't even have a strap in our boots, let alone a boot, right? We ain't got a boot, and we ain't got no strap in it, right? We start off, I watched this video, and the white person created this video, and they was like, everyone who has a parent, who has both parents in the house, take 2 steps forward. Everybody who's got this on it, right? So all the black kids were so far behind the race as them. So even white people acknowledge it, and you're choosing to say that, well, that's not a reason. I'm not making an excuse for them. I'm saying it's an understanding that I understand what you're going through because your schools don't have the funding. They don't have jerseys. So this is the thing, even with sports. So while I want to play, I don't got no jerseys. Morris couldn't have home games for how long? Because they didn't have no lights. Why is it everybody else has all these things and these kids got to struggle? Once again, like I said, if you want to change that with the school system and these kids have funding, you got to get the city. Matter of fact, it's a government thing across the nation. You would have to get a majority of white people of the other side to say, yes, we want to change this law on how schools are being funded. Because if we want it to be equal and everybody's kids to have the same opportunities, then let's take funding and let's distribute it evenly to everybody. Because it's more than enough. But they don't want to do that because then me and you got the same. If you white and I'm black or whatever, we got the same opportunity.
I do not see it.
You don't have to see
the same way.
That's a fact.
I don't see that fact. I don't see that fact.
It's a statistical fact, though.
It is not a statistical fact.
It's a statistical fact that they have more and we have less. Is that not a statistical fact? They have all the wealth in America. We don't. We have 3% or something of wealth in America. So this is a statistical fact that they are starting ahead of us in the line. You watched the video and a white person made it, and you watched all them white kids. They wasn't lying.
And I also see the GDP of Black Americans is larger than some nations, right? The money that we have goes to, and I hate to be speaking like this, but I would never speak like this to people who don't look like me.
Okay, so it's
right?
larger than some
because
nation. Go ahead.
I don't want to put down my people, but at the same time, with my people, I will tell them, let's stop making excuses.
Okay, so the GDP is larger than other nations, but we live in a nation that is definitely our dollar and our cost of living is substantially larger than other nations. So our GDP might be larger, but if it's the equivalent of how much it costs to live in our nation,
There's
is different.
so
but
much
let's address
no,
this.
let me go to this
Let's
one.
address this. Hold on, wait. Let's
Go ahead.
address this. Let's talk about the welfare situation, right?
Oh, man.
Because I'm not Democrat.
I'm gonna get canceled for this. I'm gonna get canceled.
I'm not
I'm gonna get
Democrat
canceled.
or Republican. My problem with both of them is the Democrats, they dangle the carrot,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take it, and they put you in a position where you're never gonna get better. You're never gonna, like, you take the welfare, you take the Section 8, you take all these things. There's no limitation on it, and there's no reason to not keep having kids and stay on it, right? Because we're gonna give you free housing.
Whose fault
and
is
you're
that?
never gonna do anything with it. Well, if you enable,
Brass
wait,
tack,
let me finish.
whose
Let me
fault
finish.
is that?
Let me finish. If you enable people to be lazy, they'll be lazy.
Oh, man. So
Right.
what responsibility do we have? At what point do we say, because you just said it, they've been saying it for years that this is the problem. So at what point do we say, okay, now that we know the problem, why do we
I
keep
saw a video
doing
on social media. A young boy wanted to get a job, and his mama was telling him, "You can't get a job. Can you get a job? You're gonna mess up my Section 8."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "A job is for suckers. Why you want to get a job?" She said, "You can live off the system. You can go. You need to go apply for Section 8, and they're gonna give you your own place too, and they're gonna give you that money. You ain't never got to work." So when you have bad leadership, which is what we're circling back to, a woman is leading him and misleading him. And if you got bad leadership and you got people around you that's telling you to do things this way, and this is what you see and what you know growing up, then you're going to mess around and fall into being a statistic of that.
So then let's stop. Like, we're having this conversation.
What do Republicans do?
What do
Let's go.
Republicans do? No,
What do
let me-
Republicans?
No, I'm gonna talk about what you just said. So you just said the reason why these things are happening because we don't have black fathers in households. 78% of black men, of black people, grew up without a father in the household. 78. That means 1 out of 4 had a dad. 1 out of 4. And it's so sad. This statistics is so sad because I can actually say, look at my friends, right? I grew up with a father and a stepmom in the home, right? But I can look at my friends. He didn't have a dad. He didn't have a dad. He didn't have a dad. I can actually look back and see that, right? So when you don't have a father in the house, and we do see that Section 8 kind of takes the fathers out of the homes because you can't have a father who's working in the home. Why? Because you won't be on Section 8. You're making too much money. Even if it is a minimum wage job, 2 people making minimum wage is not going to be able to stay on Section 8, right? So there's no father in the home. So that right there is a problem. But now we do have these men. Now we are having these conversations. But how many times can we have this conversation before we say, we done woke up everybody, and yet everybody is still doing the same thing. And everybody, once they get the opportunity, they still blame the man. Even in this conversation, we're blaming the man. We blaming the white man. White man ain't did nothing to me. White man ain't did nothing to me. I was a gang member. I had a father in the home. I needed something. My dad wasn't there at that time. And so I went to the streets to see what I couldn't find at home, right? That was my reality. And I didn't waste my time saying, oh, the man did it to me. No, I consciously. So I feel like a lot of times we continue to make excuses. It's like I had this conversation so many times. We're like, well, this is the reason why we're in this position. Okay, I agree with you, right? I will give, everything you just said. I agree. Boom. This is why we're here. But how do we move from here to this point where history has put us in behind the 8 ball? But now that we're here and we know that history has put us behind the 8 ball, how do we get in front of it?
It's so many things wrong with it, but I want to continue to say I'm not making excuses.
But we
I'm
are.
saying no. There's a difference between understanding why things are a certain way and making an excuse for it. I'm not making an excuse for anybody's behavior. I look at myself. I look at my little brother. Me and my sister, and where we are in life, and where we had to strive harder to get to, and this and that. I didn't have my dad. I did have a stepdad, more quiet guy. You know, I love him to death. He was a hardworking person. Not really someone who like talked a whole lot and educated you, but he was a stellar dude as far as being a stepdad is, right? Like and like helping out, right? But like I look at my dad and not having my dad, and even not having your actual parent, and like maybe missing them, loving them, and like why they don't want you or whatever the case, or why they're not doing more, why they're not coming to see you. I didn't have my real dad's phone number until I got out in 2010, and I was 23, right? I didn't have my dad's number. I could never call him growing up because he was hiding, dodging child support, right? So I would say my little brother and sister, my little brother got a academic award from Obama graduating high school. Not too many people get those in the nation. You only top academic achievers get those.
That's amazing.
He went straight through undergrad and all that and started going to medical school. My little sister too, right? They did all these things. And I can't help but to think if my father was there for me and with me and talking to me and encouraging me and being the father he was to them, where would I have been? Would he have saved me from my life? Would he have saved me from possibly dying out here or the heartache and like the trauma I have to deal with to this day? Yeah. Right? Every time something happens to a homie, it's traumatizing to me. When I think about what happened to people I care about or where they're at and where they're stuck at, it's traumatizing. It hurts my feelings that they still have to live and be in this position.
But they don't have to live and be in that position.
No. I'm talking about the ones that are dead and the ones that are in prison, and they don't have a whole bunch, they're hanging on to hope. They're hanging on to God, hope, and wherever else that they're going to come home one day, and they might not never. Yeah. Or the ones that had to suffer for 15, 16, 18 years, they kept it solid because they wasn't going to be no snitch. They got railroaded into situations, right? It's a lot of things that happen. All these laws are designed to go against us and for us to fail. If you don't have money, if you got money, you can get out of anything damn near. If you don't have money, which we don't, we're stuck in a position of being pretty much raped by the law, right? Because we're not conscious enough. This country, if we have all these laws and they say ignorance is not admissible in the eye of law, right? In the court of law and all that. Why don't we have classes that teach economics and teach the laws, right? So that we can know them. They want you to know the laws, but they don't teach it to you. But these other kids and shit, they know the law, or they got attorneys on retainer that know the law, that know the loopholes that can get you out of these situations, or slap on the wrist and this and that and change it up. When we get in trouble, we don't get a slap on the wrist. We end up in a bad situation because we don't have good representation. We're dealing with public defenders, and we don't know what to do and what not to say and this and that, and we get hung. And what I'm saying is this: I'm not making any excuses. I'm providing that I understand how you got to where you are.
Who's contributing to this lifestyle?
Everyone.
But who has a bigger responsibility to not contribute to this lifestyle that we say is so detrimental to our health and success? Who has the biggest responsibility?
Ourselves.
And when we talk about ourselves, we're talking about black people.
But my only thing I'm saying is, when you already caught up in the sauce and you're too deep in some situations where you don't get another chance. What about the homies that's been down since they was fresh 18, couple months in, right? So you look at these people, right? And you look at them and you say, damn, if they would have had a couple more years, maybe they'd have snapped out of it.
Maybe they would have, but I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that are out here, like you and me, the ones that are out here.
Right. So
right?
Our reach,
the successful ones,
our
like
reach is
all
only,
black people,
what I'm saying is our reach is only so far. Any homie know they can call me at any time. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to answer the phone. I'm always going to be there to communicate with you. I'm going to always tell you the right thing and to do good. I'm not going to wish you to do bad on nobody or to yourself. I'm not going to tell you to crash out whether I got the power to recommend you do something stupid or not, right? I'm going to always encourage the better side of you, and I'm going to ask you what you've been up to, and I'm going to try to give you ideas, and I'm going to try to help you with resources if possible.
And that's amazing. You're a blessing, which is why I say you're successful, which is why I go back and tip my hat to, the man that you've become with everything that you had to overcome, right? But I look at black people as a whole. The music I listen to, I don't listen to murder music. I don't listen to, why? Because people kids, our people that we're talking about right now, are dying. And to say that it does not matter, we listen to that music, we glorify this music, and these kids who see these people who have all this money, they try to live that life. So who has the responsibility? We do, right? We have that responsibility, and we say it doesn't matter, right? I see people on the internet, and they're glorifying this lifestyle. They're glorifying this lifestyle, and kids are dying. There's a genocide. What we're talking about is a genocide of black lives, whether it's in prison or in the grave. There is a genocide, a literal genocide, and mainly done, we talk about the police, done by us, right? I wasn't afraid of white people growing up. I wasn't afraid of, I didn't think they were my threat. I didn't walk down the street and see white people like, oh, them the ops. I didn't do that. It was people who looked like me, right? Those were the ones who, so we all were like, let's be real.
Because we are conditioned.
We are conditioned, but now I'm unconditioned.
But I understand that, but we are conditioned to selling ourselves out. I'm still, once again, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the people that stuck in the cycle.
And I'm talking about the people stuck in the cycle, so I don't make excuses for the people stuck in the cycle. I make excuses for kids. And I say we are responsible for these kids, right? Which is why I don't listen to that music. I'm not stuck in the cycle, but if I listen to the music and they hear me listening to the music, then they'll think that life is okay.
When it comes to the music, I tend to stay away from it. I tell my girl all the time, too, like, I don't really listen to that kind of stuff, right? I don't listen to bad music. I don't listen to, very seldomly, a little bit. Sometimes I'm working out.
Pray.
But what I listen, I'm not really a big fan of that. I mostly listen to like, salsa, bachata, and like.
Oh, I love it. Come on now.
I listen to things like that, or sometimes I get into the dance hall, right? Because I'm heavy on that culture. But sometimes they rap about some bad things too, or whatever.
I don't even understand what they're saying.
But I mostly try to listen to alternative music, like some Teddy Swims, or like white people type music. Like I listen to more things about love, and things that people singing a love song or something, because I've had enough trauma in my life, and when I listen to the negative music, it starts to make me feel some type of way, right? So you gotta understand, what is entertainment? What is the definition of entertainment? To be detained for something to enter you. What was the devil? The devil was the head man of music, right? He was to entertain God. So that's what the devil's intention was. His creation was to entertain God. He was the head music person and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about the power that's in music, if you want to even think about music, right? The frequency of music. Mm-hmm. So there's a frequency of happiness or whatever, and there's a frequency of destruction that they can point out. So most of the rap music, everything you listen to, is a destruction frequency. So I remember I was talking to Marty, and Marty was like, when we changed the frequency on the beats that we were making and the music, we changed the frequency to happiness, the beats sound funny. It didn't hit as hard and hit the same way, it didn't feel the same way. When you changed it to destruction, it was more captivating, because there's demons in everything you do. And if the devil was the lead angel of music and everything, and you got to think about the word entertainment, it's for something to detain you and distract you, right? For something to enter you and detain you, and it's distracting you. So anything that's distracting you from God is of the devil, to be honest with you, if we want to go there, if you want to say from a religious point of view. But you are being detained and distracted from other things. And then if you're being detained and distracted by negative thoughts and negative things that are entering your mind, then it makes you feel some type of way. Like sometimes it's good, you working out, you thinking about some it's pumping you up, and some wild shit. But you just riding around every day, man, you on go because you got a bunch of Durkio playing, and like I like listening to a little bit of stuff, but I'd rather listen to something with a meaning. Like even when I do my own music and rap, most of the time I try to, especially as I got older, I try to stay away from too much of the negative lyrics. Even though you want to rap about your life and what's going on in your brain, and I try to give you a message behind the stuff that I'm talking about. Like one of the last videos I did,
I like that one.
It was, I was talking about, doing what men do. Like all that gangster shit is cool, but if you can't do what men do, then you're not living pretty much. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the guy on the shirt and they doing fish fries to help you out. And if you gang banging, I said in one of my songs, you know what I'm saying, if you banging, be the best that ever lived, but get insurance on your life so you leave something to them kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you going to do something, be the best at it. But if you got children,
don't do it.
And don't do it. But I'm saying if you're gonna, but whatever you're doing, be the best at it.
Because gangbanging is not getting money.
Right.
Gangbanging is killing people.
Right.
Right. That's gangbanging.
And
there's no hustle in gangbanging.
Well,
right. That's not a hustle.
Well, but no, because you got to think about this. When it came down to the homies, right? Mm-hmm. Some homies were mascots. Some homies were the fighters. Some homies was the hustlers, the D-boys. Right. Some homies was the pimps. Some homies was the gunners.
But the hustling wasn't gangbanging.
But what I'm saying is, but you learned it. You learned it from being around members.
You may have, but that wasn't gangbanging.
Difference. Well,
you wasn't active if you were selling drugs.
You have members and you have bangers, right? Some people are members.
And some people are bangers.
Some people are bangers. But what I'm saying is, general, the gang, though, is in general, you have people that play different parts.
So I want to dismantle. My goal, and those of you who may disagree with me, that's on y'all. I follow Christ, right? So as long as I'm making him happy, then I really don't care what other people think. And one thing I know is you can't serve two masters.
Agreed.
You cannot serve two masters. And so, no, I want to abolish gangbanging as a whole. I do not like gangbanging. I know that kids are dying behind gangbanging. Kids are losing their lives behind gangbanging. There's so much destruction.
They don't even know why they gangbang.
Don't even know why. Gangbanging when I was a kid, but then when I go to jail, the same people who I'm supposed to hate are the same people who got my back. That make sense.
Right? You ended up in a race riot.
Right, not even race riot. There was no violence attached to them having my back. It was, I want to see you on, and I want to put some money in your pockets, or I want to put you in a position to make money, right? They put me in that position. They didn't have to put me in that position, but they did. And I won't go deep into that part, but I'll just say the same people who I'm supposed to hate, the same people who I had so much animosity towards, were the same people that put me in a position to then look out for my family.
I would just say, man, and that's a fact. I'm with you on, I don't want to see nobody else dying. I want to see people thriving, right? And like I told you, to me, Skyline is just, power homies, whatever. It's like a tribe. It's just your tribe that you're from, right? You're from a tribe of people that you resonate with. Just like people in the Old Testament days, and like all these people that are from a tribe of Judah, tribe of, whoever, right?
I know that was your...
My point is this. No matter what you're part of, you got, I don't align myself with Democratic Party or Republican Party. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in neither one of them because they have a similar agenda to me when it comes to minorities. So I don't follow or side with neither one of them.
I respect
if it's me, I'm voting black. I don't care if they Republican, Democrat, private party, any party, right? I don't care. As long as you black, I'm gonna vote you in, because if we don't care about each other, they care less about us than anybody else ever gonna do. If we gonna give each other an opportunity, it's gonna come from us. If we're gonna do the best, like y'all can talk about Obama, y'all can talk about Kamala, right? You those are the first two people to get into high office. I didn't expect them to go in there running and just doing everything. They have a responsibility to do things correctly in the right way so that black people can continue to have an opportunity. If you go in there and just go willy-nilly and do everything that you think you want to do and act like you just the Don of the world and you can just do whatever you want to do, then you think they're going to vote another black person in because you just running around here just doing anything? You have a responsibility to show them that, okay, these guys can be in a position of power, because their biggest fear is that we're going to do to them what they did to us.
Yes.
So if that's their biggest fear, why do they want to put you in the highest political power and seat in office? Now, slowly but surely, you'll get more and more people. But even then, to me, black people got to inspire black people. So when I was a kid going to Freeze and they had a little plastic poster on the wall of all the presidents, and they wanted you to read them all and memorize each person. I never seen no black people up there, and I never even thought about seeing no black people up there. Now, the kids growing up, they can be inspired by seeing the first black woman vice president, the first black male president, and say, well, it's achievable, it's attainable, right?
Yeah.
So
how did you feel when that happened?
Man, I was Obama all day. When I was playing
Man.
Xbox and all the racist people on Xbox would be like, nigger, 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 nigger. I'd be like, Obama, bitch. You know? They hated Obama, bitch. You know, like, that's all we said was Obama, and they hated it, right? They hated that a black man was in office. I mean, look at it. Trump to this day still hates the fact that Obama was the president. You can call him racist, you can say he's not. But he's not American. Now he's not American. Oh, his birth certificate is fake and fraudulent. You think the United States... You think at that high of office they can't tell if this is a fake birth certificate and it wasn't really filed? Like, let's be logical. If they can sit there, if they got cameras and satellite web in the sky and they can find Osama bin Laden in some mountains, they can find Saddam Hussein in the ground, they got all this crazy they trillions and billions on the military and everything that they know. You think they couldn't tell if Obama was born in a United States territory or not and raised in Hawaii? All this conspiracy theories and all this, it makes no sense to me. We can't have nothing. Everything that we invented, they steal and say that they did it, right? We can't be fucking great, right, in this country.
No, but we can be great, and they don't steal everything, right? But if we have that mindset, then, like, that mindset
They
alone...
stole everything from us?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
No, they didn't. To say that they stole a lot of things, yes, but they didn't steal everything. Right? They didn't steal everything. And if you have that mindset,
Well, they stole a lot of things,
then
and the
what's
most
the point?
important things that made them famous.
What's the point of having a kid strive for success achievements if you're just going to say, hey, everything you got,
Well,
they
in
stole.
today's world,
you're
it's a lot harder to steal it because
So
what
that's
I'm
the
saying
point.
is, but that's the point of what I make. I'm not talking about don't be great. I'm talking about just in general, just in this country, you have so much, you have the cards are so far stacked against you that I'm not saying don't strive, but when you ask why I'm not pro-America, it's because my American experience hasn't been the American experience
It
that
looks
people
like
think about
it's pretty nice.
I built something for myself, but all the things I had to go through, like dealing with racism, dealing with unfair and stuff in the justice system, yeah, I got wise enough to be able to play the game. But just because I'm superior intelligence, right, just because I'm a little smarter than the next person, right, does not mean that my American experience was not bad. And it does not mean that,
It kinda
that you
does.
can go, no, because you can go other places, even forget racism, the American experience in general. Why is it that I drive the same car every year and I got to pay to register to drive on the same street? Maybe I changed my... Everybody has to do it, but that's why I said take racism out of it. Let's just talk about the American experience.
Right.
Why do you have to pay $500 to register a vehicle to drive on the same roads and it's the same as that car every year? I thought I bought this. Why is it you got to pay property tax on your land and your house that you bought? I bought this.
Right.
Why do I have... You see the governor of Florida talking about getting rid of that property tax shit.
I
It's a
agree.
hoax. We're talking about them. We're talking about...
But you're saying
so
your
let's-
American
let's talk
experience
about
as
this.
it's different from other people's. That is the American
but
experience.
I'm talking about I'm not fond of it. You keep bringing it back as if racism. I said take racism
No, I didn't say
out of
racism.
it. No, you said as if it's
I
not
said your
everybody's experience.
American experience.
You said as if it's not everybody's experience.
Right.
So then that separates it if it's, I'm saying, like only black people. I'm talking about, let's take racism out of it. Racism was one aspect of it. Let's talk about the rest of it. Why is healthcare the way it is?
Yeah.
Why is education system the way it is? Forget the free one that everyone should get going up, right? And we should be able to be funded and all that. Let's talk about college. I'm so discouraged on how much it costs to go to college. I don't want to go. Why is it that being educated costs so much money? Why is it that the professor that's teaching this class gets to write a book and charge you $700 for that book? Then you buy the book for $700. Then you turn it back into the library. You sell it back. They give you $200. Then they put it back on display. Used for $500, right? It's a scam.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is a scam. So if you agree it's a scam, the American experience is not that fucking great.
No, it is pretty great.
No, well, that's your. If you think a scam
is
is great, that's crazy to me.
No, so let me explain it to you.
Explain.
If it's a scam,
You just agreed it's a scam.
yes, I believe school is a scam. I believe school is a scam,
The healthcare system is a scam too.
and I don't have a college degree,
And the
I
healthcare
don't go to college.
The healthcare system
And
is a scam
Warren
too, right?
Buffett, something that you just posted today, Warren Buffett doesn't care about a college degree.
Right.
He'd rather have somebody who has experience over a college degree.
But what's that got to do with this?
Because we're talking about college
experience.
now.
But we're talking about just in general. The American experience is not that great. Do you know that we're rated? You know that we're rated one of the lowest for a country that's civilized. We're rated in the lowest of quality of life. Look it up. We're rated in the lowest.
I don't have to look
quality
it
of
up
life.
because I'm happy. Like, I'm happy. You seem pretty happy.
But this is a small percentage of it. Look at us. Look at us. Wait. We're one of the countries with some of the most mass shootings, right? And that's because people here are depressed. They're stressed. They hate themselves. They hate the life. They hate the American experience.
And yet everybody wants to come to America.
No. Poor people from other countries want to come to America.
Rich people from other countries.
Poor people, rich people, listen, not just to say that America doesn't have things to offer would be untrue. I said the American experience is not that great. Rich people, anyone likes to travel and go anywhere, right? I don't even care too much for Dubai, but I wanted to experience it. That's an experience. But when I got there, I was like, it's not that great. I'd rather go somewhere that's more authentic to me, right? So I didn't really enjoy it. That's my opinion. But I'm just saying the quality of life is rated low here. It's not just me that thinks that.
I'm pretty sure it's not just you. But I'm talking about my own experience and me being where I'm at in life. This is a pretty nice experience that I'm having, right? And we're talking about, I've been to other countries. You've been to way more countries than me. And yet we all come back here.
But you know why? So let me tell you about the difference in going to these other countries and why their quality of life is much better than ours and they're happier. I've been in some of the poorest countries with some of the poorest people, and they still find a way to smile every day. You know why?
I'm smiling.
Because but our quality of life is still low, and I'm about to read something to you and tell you about it. But I didn't been to Cuba, I didn't been to Mexico, and I didn't seen people like, while I'm on vacation, these people are working in these beautiful places, and they're not, and I'm enjoying your country in a way that you'll never and never can and never will get to enjoy it, right? And it kind of sucks. But they still, their quality of life and their family, a lot of this comes down to family. In America, it's all about 24 hours a day, 24/7. Probably want to face the camera a little bit more, but 24 hours a day, 24/7, right? These people, we're in America, everything has to be open. Everything has to be accessible, right? You have to, all these things. In other countries, the family dinners, like, things shut down. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, shit is shut down. Like, maybe some clubs and stuff might be open, for entertainment. But for the most part, the country shuts down. People go home and they be with their families. Here, you don't get to go home and be with their families. Everybody is so expensive to live here, and 2 or 3 jobs having, and the TV's raising your kids, and you don't get to go and spend that quality time with your family. You might be cooking and so tired and exhausted when you get home. Like, it's so expensive to live here.
I like, but I promise you wouldn't move anywhere else.
I'm out of here as soon as my daughter turns 18 and she gets started.
Where you gonna go?
Maybe to the Caribbean.
You want to live in the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Well, I love America. I love America, and it's not perfect. No country is, because even the Caribbean that you want to live in has crime, has poverty, has all the things that you hate about America. So they have it there as well.
This is what it says. It says the United States is rated lower in quality of life due to factors including higher income inequality, less comprehensive social safety nets, poor access to affordable health care and education, and higher crime rates compared to other high income countries. Structural issues in social policies, a lack of investments in public infrastructure and childcare, and high cost of living also contribute to declining quality of life rankings. So this is stuff you could really research and go.
I can research it, but I'm talking about my lived experience.
Okay,
so I don't have to research my lived experience.
But I just don't understand how you overlook the fact that your lived experience in a city like San Diego that cost you 16 years of your life. I understand that you wait. I understand that you made your own decisions, but the situations that you were placed in life put you in a place where these bad decisions could hinder you for life.
You don't have to make excuses for my actions.
I'm not making excuses for you. You're
but these are my actions.
I understand.
Do I believe that I should have got that much time? No. That was the system as it was. That's why they resentenced me and gave me less time, but I'd already done the time, right? But I own my place and what I did. And too many people make excuses for the system.
But that doesn't take away from a poor system.
Yes, the system sucks.
But okay, so that's another horrible part of the American experience.
Sucks.
So that's another horrible part of the American experience. I'm not making excuses.
Yes,
I'm providing understanding.
No, we all understand. So you're making excuses.
No. I'm only saying I understand why things are the way they are. I don't need to make excuses because I've made a life for myself, and I'm on a path for a life for myself that's taking me places I want to be. I just wish that I would have been on this path so much younger, and I would have had this knowledge and had people around me that could have helped me earlier in life. And the fact that we grew up the way we grew up, we're so far hindered. And luckily for me, I got away with some shit and got away with a lot of shit.
He don't know what he's talking about.
Luckily, I'm just saying, like, statute of limitations, whatever. But luckily,
Ain't no statute of limitations.
well, certain things don't. But I'm just saying, luckily, I got out of a lot of situations, or got away, however you want to look at it, right? Situations that I could have been gone away longer, and I could have gotten deeper in it to where I don't care. But luckily, I got myself into a position where I got out. I was able to stay out of trouble long enough to where I can get my shit expunged, to where I can start to try. And everything is still so much harder. Even though things are expunged, it's not expunged. They tell you to go to jail and go to prison and do your time and serve and then after you served your time, right, and you giving back to the country, I still got to get out here. You're gonna make it harder for me to get jobs. You're gonna make it all these things. When I wanted to go to real estate school, and I went to real estate school, I had to get a fingerprint clearance card. They still can do a full federal background check on you. Now we see all these things automatically decline. Now I gotta give them paperwork. I gotta write up a dissertation on my life and what I've been doing, what happened, and what I do, and still doing that, writing that up without snitching, right? And finding a way to crafty, just put myself in position and whatever, and what I've been doing since then, right? And then why I deserve this, right? And then they give me a fingerprint clearance card. When I go to file for my real estate license, though, right? I had to go back, declined automatically as well. Gotta dispute this, right? And I gotta write up another dissertation on this. They wanted me. I had to go to San Diego. I had to go to the courthouse. I had to get my original charges. I had to get the deal I took or whatever, right? The outcome. I had to provide all these things sealed and stamped from California and from this local court here when I had a small situation here. And I had to provide them all these things and beg them to grant me this, right? After serving your time and doing what you're supposed to do and staying off parole and probation and becoming free and getting things expunged, I still got to go and jump through all these hurdles to be great. And it sucks. And it takes a certain type of motivation and ambition to not give in and to say fuck it.
So likewise, I just got my insurance, property and casualty insurance. And so now I can sell that. But in order to get that, I had to tell them about my past. Now, the first time I went to get my life insurance, to get certified in selling life insurance, and they didn't let me do it. My record wasn't expunged at the time. The crime that I committed wouldn't prohibit me from becoming an agent, but they kept making me jump through hoops. I was out of work at the time, and I couldn't continue to wait for them to grant me this license, so I went back to work. And fast forward, here I am today. But it happens, so I don't make excuses. It's tough. But I look at it like, in order to change things, I want to change what it means to be formerly incarcerated. I want to open doors for other people. And if I keep opening up these doors, if I keep doing it, then others can come behind me and it'll be easier for them. Because vice versa, it's people. This is why I don't make excuses for the adults who continue to do these things, because they make it harder for us to do these things. If there were people who were like us who messed up and then they changed their life, it will be a lot easier for other people who messed up and came out and changed their life.
My understanding always comes back to this, right? Circumstances is what is the difference between maybe me and someone else. Not just
on my own.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a living situation, anything, right? While people are trying their best to figure something out and do the right thing and get to this place, right? Oh shoot, hold on.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
Yeah, so I'm saying, scratch the lady. I'm just saying it could be anybody, but just having a certain circumstance where you might having a place to stay, or having someone that is willing to give you an opportunity or put you in a position to do certain things, it helps out a lot. There are some of us out here
who don't have that,
that have nothing, and they don't have the opportunity, or the availability to kind of keep on fighting towards something and keep on trying to grasp and hold on. So their opportunity to become better than what they are, because they got goals and dreams and they're trying to achieve, but they're unable to get there because they aren't in a position to continue to fight for it like how we fought for it.
So again, we're making excuses.
I'm not making excuses.
Yes, you are. You
but
don't
I
see it as that. But
I understand why.
I look at it differently. Right?
You can look at it. You can
I
look
look
at
at it as excuses because maybe some people don't have the opportunities that we have. I was someone who I came and I got a job. I was making $15 an hour. I was in a halfway house. I got out the halfway house. I saved money. I had an opportunity to live with my parents. But before that, I only lived with them for 6 months, and I went to go get my own apartment.
But how much of a, but that's even a blessing for a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
Because some people get out of prison. But some people get out of prison and they're straight to the streets and they got that $200, right? Mm-hmm. Others get out of prison, end up in the halfway house, and you're making money, and they're withholding majority of your money, and you're coming out of that halfway house ahead, which I think is a really good system, right?
I think that is a great system.
It's a great system, and then so many homies are that, but there's people that don't have the situation, so I can't just down them.
There's exceptions to the rules, yes.
Right, and that's
but I also can look, and you can look it through those same eyes and see that there are people who use these exceptions as the majority.
Yeah, I got homies that piss me off. I got homies, right?
And
but look,
it's not the.
But what I'm saying is, I got homies that piss me off because I feel like they could do and done so much better, and they let certain situations handicap them instead of being a go-getter and going after themselves. They've accepted the defeat, or they've accepted their situation around them, and that's why they aren't achieving what they could be achieving in places they could be, because people around them could be hindering them. They anybody. Like,
so then what do you tell them?
You accepted a care. I try to inspire them, but after a while, it's like, okay, I see some homies get out of prison and do fantastic.
Yep.
And I see some homies get out of prison and are they living their purpose? No. They got dreams, they got ambitions, but how hard are they going after it? Or did you just become stagnant because you got into a decent situation and you just staying there?
And that's cool too. That's cool. If you want to work and make $25, $30 an hour and do that for the rest of your life and be able to have an apartment and stay out of trouble, to me, that's a level of success, right? Success is being able to take care of your family, take care of yourself, not going back to jail, taking care of your kids, just being a stand-up man in society. Everybody's not going to be a billionaire. It's impossible for everybody in a nation of 400 million people to be billionaires, right? Somebody has to be the janitor. Somebody has to be the teacher. Somebody has to be the law clerk. Somebody has to be all these things.
In my career field, it's the same way. Everybody can't be the manager. Everybody can't be certain things. Everybody doesn't want the responsibility, right? With more money, a lot of times comes more responsibility, and some people just want to be able to go to work, collect a decent paycheck, and have their bills paid. Everybody doesn't need nice vacations. Me, I want to travel the world. My goal, my dream is to see 70% of the world before I die, if that's possible. That's something that I don't know how likely it is, but it's easier than saying I'm gonna see 100% of it. I know that's impossible because the world is too damn big, and you gotta really have some money and just be constant traveling. But if I can go and I can cover all these countries and go do stuff and get these experiences, I'm a man who likes culture. I don't really, when I look at the United States also, is we don't really have history. Our only history is really slavery, right? So when you look at it, that's also not a great thing. It's also not and then they want to erase that. They don't even want kids to learn that we was once slaves. Your ancestors were once slave masters, and they did these horrendous things. So that is part of moral character being built inside of white people could feel superior, or they could feel like that was messed up, but I want to be better people, right?
But doesn't the flip side also hold true? Like, if we only talk about slavery,
we don't talk about it.
No, because that's the only thing you just brought up. You're talking about our only history is the fact that we're slavery, and that white people, their
But we learned about everyone else's history, though.
But you said, and their family owned us, and they were terrible people, and so not talking about it allows white people to continue to feel superior. But if we only talk about that, then doesn't that also keep us in a place of inferiority?
But that's half. No, we understand.
The opposite has to hold true.
For us,
we're more than slavery.
But no, what I'm saying.
Now, I'm not saying this because I don't want to talk about slavery.
But for us, it's this. For us, it comes down to this. We understand the triumph that we reached coming this far. And we were once slaves, and now we've been a president of this country. So that's why slavery is important for us to know.
So then let's talk about that, because that's not where you started. You just said we're not talking about slavery.
I said no. I said the only history.
That's our only history, and it's not our only history.
No, that is our only history.
That is not our only history.
The other history of this country is what the Indians did, what the Pilgrims did to the Indians.
That's not us.
But those are the people who founded this country.
Well, then who are we talking about? Because if those are the people who founded us,
what is it?
We're talking about black history is what we're talking about, right?
I said the history of this country.
Oh, so you're talking about American
history. The history of this country, American history, is what the Pilgrims did to the Native Americans and what they did to slaves once they brought them here. And they conquered, and how they stole the land from the Mexican country and all that kind of shit.
You mean they stole it? No, they gave Mexico, the Mexican-American War, they gave. It was a treaty. So there was a treaty. Then it was violated, and they took more. And they gave away majority of the country. But who cares? At that point,
I'm saying, but everything in the history, none of it is the glamorous stuff. But what I'm saying is,
none of what?
They teach you everybody else's history, but they want to not teach our history. Mm-hmm. So that's, to me, was where the contradiction is. So you don't want to teach American history, which is about slavery and this and that. The only history that we would be learning about America is what all the white people achieved there.
But then listen to what you just said. So I'm gonna repeat what you just said and tell me how that sounds. You don't want to tell American history, which is slavery. American history isn't just slavery, but that's what you said. You don't want to teach American history, which is slavery. That's a part of American history. That's a part of it.
That's the majority of it.
It's not the majority of it. Slavery can't be the majority of American history.
Slavery was over 400 years of slavery, right? Uh-huh. And then oppression was after that, right? And this whole time, so you're talking about, who knows, 800-900 years of slavery then oppression.
So now it just sounds like that's our history and not American history.
No, because
Chinese is a part of the American history.
Wait. So we're talking about in this 900 years. That's not. This is what
900.
Wait.
America is 900 years old.
What I'm saying is America.
In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Okay.
So
that's
1400. So the America wasn't. What is that? 14. That's 600. That's 600 years. Well, no, that's 600 years.
1400. Okay. What I'm saying is it's been slavery. Then it was oppression. But what I'm saying is, you cut that whole.
Is that only American history?
No. But what I'm saying is, listen. If you cut out that 400 years of slavery, how much is left? The only thing that's left to talk about is all the achievements that the white man has achieved.
What about the achievements of the black people?
Wait.
That's what I'm saying. You only boil this down to slavery.
What achievements of the black people would they talk about then?
The Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers.
They want to take that out. Hold on, wait. That's part of it. That's part of
not slavery.
No, wait. Trump took that out.
It doesn't matter what Trump. You just asked me a question.
No.
What achievement? Hold up. Because you said, what achievement do we have outside of slavery? And as soon as I said something, you said Trump's taking this out.
No.
That's not the question.
This is the problem with that. This is why I'm trying to let me elaborate on that.
But that's not the question.
No. But this is what the problem is.
So give me the whole question and then allow me to answer.
Okay. That is still part of the question and equation. The reason why I'm telling you that is because they correlate that with part of the oppression and slavery, because black people weren't allowed to serve with white people. So the black pilots in the Tuskegee and all that had to be at Tuskegee separate from white pilots and take these missions. So since this is part of segregation and oppression, which connects to slavery, they want to take that out too. So once again, that's something else that they've already agreed. Trump has already been shutting all that shit down.
I don't even know why we're talking about this, because I don't want them to take any of this out.
I don't want them to take it out either. But I said
if your question is if they take away slavery, what achievements have black people had in America? Then I can then tell you a litany of achievements that black people have had in America.
And what I'm saying is, since that's a part of the slavery mission of them removing it.
That's not slavery.
But that's a part of the oppression which is connected to slavery. They are removing that too. They're shutting
they're
down.
trying to. They haven't removed
well,
it.
No, Trump has already shut down several black of the bases in museums, and he doesn't want it in there. He's already put in an order about shutting down Tuskegee too, right? So they want these museums and all this stuff that has to do with oppression and slavery. Let's reclassify the question: oppression and slavery. He's already taken the things that have to do with those two things, and he's already minimizing shutting that down. So when we talk about anything that has to do with those two things, right, with the oppression and the slavery mixed in one, right, because they're connecting them two together. Because you can't, if you teach about Tuskegee, why did they have to be separated? This and that. Well, because this is post-slavery, and in racism, they want the whole racism equation erased.
You don't have to talk about the Tuskegee Airmen. We're talking about the successes of the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, I'm saying this because...
But you can't bring it up without telling them why they were the Tuskegee
You can tell the story of the black men who, fought in the Red.
They're the ones
the
closing
Red
the
Hawks,
museums, though.
or what is it?
The Red Tails.
The Red
They're
Tails.
the ones that's closing the museums.
Whether they're the ones that's I'm talking about the successes of black people in America.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what they're talking about.
But I'm talking about in the history books, right? I'm talking about in the history book and what they want to teach. They are removing all of that. The Tuskegee Airmen,
security right there.
the Red Tails, and slavery. They're removing all these factors. And what I'm saying is, so when they talk about American history, it would have to be as of this past, like maybe 100 years, right? And what if they, in all the achievements,
music,
and it would most
medicine.
likely be, but they're not. But when they're going to talk about history, they're not going to talk about Michael Jackson.
So Duke Ellington isn't Michael Jackson. Is Michael Jackson the only successful black musician?
Right. I'm not saying him. I mean, but they're not going to talk about Nat Turner. They're not going to talk about. But what I'm saying is,
Nat Turner.
When they're talking about, what I'm saying is, when they're talking about these, they're not. When they're talking about history, they're not going to go into the musical aspect of things. They're going to go into achievements.
Now
like
you're telling me what they will talk about.
Going to talk because their thing is going to be.
You're changing the dynamic of the question. You asked me if they take away slavery, allow me to say the history.
If they look at the history
allow me
book,
to tell history.
I'm saying if they look at the history book, and I'm talking about what's in history books, they're going to talk about the invention of electricity, the telephone, the car, the this and that. They never in the history books talk about music.
I learned about music. I learned about this in school.
In a music class. I'm telling you history.
I learned about this in school.
But you didn't learn about that in history class.
During the Roaring '20s, during those times, I'm not going to lie and say, I remember exactly. I just know I learned about it in school.
But in the history books, there's not a section for that kind of stuff.
That doesn't even matter, right? To the question as a whole, the black achievements in America is not defined by slavery. It's not. We are not defined by slavery. It's a part of our history, but if we only attach ourselves to that, then the only thing that we are is an oppressed people.
I understand that, but we have to tell our own story. Because
then allow us to tell our own story.
What I'm talking about, what's being taught in schools, because once again, you're still coming from a leadership perspective. If there's not great leadership in the home, then these great stories aren't going to be told about how great you are, right?
This is why I like having Democrats. Because we need someone to fight, right? Even if I don't always agree with how they fight, even if I don't agree with it, somebody still has to be a Nat. Somebody still has to be hey, but don't forget, but don't forget, but don't forget, but don't forget. I'm not that person. I'm not going to stay in this state of don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. I'm in the state of what's next, what's next, what's next. That's where I'm at.
I'm in a state of both.
I'm the what's next.
I'm in a state of both. I'm in a state of, and we got to get about it.
But one has to win more than the other.
I'm in a state of this. What I know motivates me to achieve what's next because I know where we come from.
But why do we always talk about what we know?
Because
why is the conversation not what's next?
Because we should always be forward thinking. But what I'm saying
it doesn't seem like it.
What I'm saying is that as far as me, I understand where we come from. I understand where we're at today. And I also understand what I stand to achieve, like what we can achieve, what's attainable now, right? Mm-hmm. And when I look at what's attainable now, I live in it. Think about it. I work with 99% white people, with 99%, especially where I manage. It's mostly all white people that have money, right? You think they like a nigga telling them what to do? They do not like a nigga telling them what to do and what they can and can't do, and me sending them notices and all kinds of stuff, and they have no choice but to deal with my authority. And I understand how powerful that is to a degree, because I'm in a position of power, and even though they don't want my black ass telling them what to do, I can tell them what to do because I'm in this position of authority, and the law is the law.
God bless America.
God bless America. I don't have to be pro-America until America's pro-me. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. My dog Will. Check out the gym, Chula Vista. There's also TG, the gym here in Phoenix, Arizona. They got 2 locations. I did see you guys have one in Mesa as well.
Yes, sir.
So if you are in Mesa or you in Phoenix off the 51, off Thunderbird, check it out. Luxury gym, nice, good equipment. People can go in there. They have a TV room. I saw with you can watch movies while you bike or you are on the treadmills and stuff like that. Really good equipment. You can go power lift. They got the heavy shit. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. My dog Will with me. Hopefully we cover some great topics. If you banging,
And LeBron
calm
is the
down.
best.
LeBron's not the GOAT. Michael Jordan's the GOAT, and Kobe's my GOAT. All right, we'll catch you later. Peace, love, and
Peace.
train.
I'm a king.